Hello and welcome back to Women's Football Talk, the YouTube channel that brings you all the latest news and stories from around the world of women's football. So the international break is over and it is the return of club football this weekend in the WSL and across the European leagues. So if you want to have a listen to our recap of the international break, make sure you check out our Women's Football Talk podcast, available on all podcast sites. So, with the WSL back this weekend, let's have a look at some of the fixtures that are taking place across England. So we'll start off on Saturday lunchtime. We have Aston Villa versus Chelsea. Now, Carla Ward's side are still looking for their first points of this season after having 4 consecutive defeats to start the season, whilst Chelsea have been on top form since drawing with Manchester City, and last time out they obviously managed to beat Brighton and Hove Albion by 4-2, with Sherkan scoring a hat-trick and Aggie Beaver-Jones getting the goals there for Emma Hayes' side. For me, it's going to be a pretty straightforward game. I'm expecting Chelsea just to absolutely dominate, and I think continue to cause Aston Villa problems all across the pitch. For Aston Villa, they're able to welcome back Kirsty Hansen from her suspension that she picked up on the first day of the season after getting sent off, and there's still Kenza Darley, who's on the brink of coming back. She's been in training, and I believe Carla Ward will make a decision regarding her eligibility ahead of the game. So for Aston Villa, they need to start picking up points, otherwise it will be a bleak season for a team that was so impressive last year and finishing in 5th place. Everyone was expecting them to continue to do the same, but unfortunately so far that hasn't been the case. Then we have a look on Sunday's fixtures, and the big one this weekend is Arsenal versus Manchester City. For Arsenal, they managed to pick up back-to-back wins before the international break, beating Aston Villa and beating Bristol City 2-1, with Katie McCabe scoring both the goals there, whilst Manchester City have continued their from the start of the season as they managed to beat Leicester City by 1-0 last time out. And for me, this is a big must-win game for Arsenal already so early on in the season, because if they were to lose this, they would be 6 points behind Manchester City and potentially Chelsea come the end of the weekend, and trying to make up those 6 points in a WSL title race, and when there's only 3 spots for a Champions League, potentially it does become a lot harder. So for Jonas Sardavell's side, they really want to be picking up the 3 points in this game. Obviously last time out they were able to welcome back Vivian Miedema for a couple minutes off the bench. I'd expect similar minutes for her, maybe a bit more this weekend, as well as obviously Beth Mead. For Manchester City, as far as I'm aware, there's no injury concerns. Expect Kiara Keating to continue in goal after she's had such a fine start to the season, been absolutely exceptional. Been a bit of a surprise because no one was expecting Keating to come in to the starting lineup so quickly and do so well, only conceding the 1 goal across the 4 games so far for Gareth Taylor's side. Well, for me, it is a must win for Arsenal for like I said, in terms of trying to stay in that title race. Manchester City, if they get that win, then they will have really blown my expectations of them away from the start of the season. When I made my predictions video, I wasn't expecting them to be as good as they have been, but yeah, really impressed with them, and yeah, it will be massive for them if they get that win. Next up, we have Liverpool versus Leicester City. Liverpool were pegged back by West Ham United just before the international break. A 95th minute Rico Ueki equaliser stopped Matt Beard's side from picking up that win, whilst Leicester dropped points, like I said, to Manchester City. Both teams having a much impressive start to the season in 5th and 6th respectively, both on 7 points. So it wouldn't surprise me if this one ends up being a draw between the two sides, because they are much better compared to what we've seen 12 months ago between the two sides. So if they can pick up a point and share the spoils in this one, then it wouldn't be too bad for either side, keeping them as far away as the relegation zone as possible, and that is what the main thing is for those two sides. Next up, it is Tottenham Hotspur versus Everton. Now, Robert Wilhelm's side have been absolutely spectacular this season. How well they've connected so quickly in this team is absolutely amazing. 9 points from their first 4 games. Martha Thomas leading the way for the Golden Boot, and recently picked up the October Player of the Month for her 6 goals, and settling into life at Spurs so well and so easily. It's just absolutely fantastic to see. Everton, on the opposite hand, a bit of a struggle in the WSL lost 5-0 to Manchester United before the international break. I've only picked up the 3 points, which was their Merseyside derby win, so they'll be looking to change their fortunes around sooner rather than later. Then we have West Ham versus Bristol City. For West Ham, obviously they managed to pick up that late equaliser against Liverpool to earn them their 4th point of the season, so they picked up 4 points from their 4 games, currently sitting in 8th place. I'd expect Ryan Skinner's side to slowly start picking up some more points and start accumulating a better performance all round over the coming weeks or so. For Bristol City, though, they are in dire need of points, in the same position as Aston Villa, yet to pick up a single point from their opening 4 games, and this is really their best chance to pick it up so far. A West Ham team that aren't as good as maybe some people expected, but they're an easier team for Bristol City to try and pick something up against. And then finally, to conclude the weekend, we have Brighton and Hove Albion taking on Manchester United. Melissa Phillips' side have only picked up the 1 win so far this season, and like I said at the start, they lost 4-2 to Chelsea last time out. For Manchester United, picking up that big win 5-0 against Everton was much needed for them after crashing out of the Champions League beforehand, but a 5-0 victory heading into the international break, so it's really key for them to keep up with the top 3 so far this season. For them, there's been a bit of positive news. There was a lot of players missing out last time out against Everton due to a sickness bug. Mark Skinner said they are all available. The only injury worry for them is Irene Guerrero, who will be missing for a couple of weeks after a slight tweak of her MCL injury. So nothing too serious, but will be out of action for a couple of weeks. So looking forward to these games this weekend, and it's good to have club football back. A bit of other story and news, obviously, congratulations to Aitana Bonmati, who on Monday picked up the Ballon d'Or. Spanish player became the second player from Barcelona to win it after Alexia Putellas won the previous 2 editions, and UEFA have announced today that they are joining with France Football to run the Ballon d'Or from next year, and they have added a Women's Coach of the Year. However, they are still yet to add a Women's Goalkeeper of the Year and a Women's Young Player of the Year award, so hopefully in the near future that can all get sorted. And then this weekend sees the semi-finals of the NWSL Championship take place on Sunday going into Monday if you're in Europe. First up is the Portland Thorns versus Gotham FC from midnight, and then San Diego Wave versus the ORA at 2:30 in the morning UK time, and those are for a place at next week's final that will take place at San Diego's Snapdragon Stadium. And for Angel City, they were able to confirm Becky Tweed as their permanent head coach after she'd done a fantastic job on an interim basis. Right, we'll be back next week to look back at all the talking points from the WSL weekend, and like I said at the start, make sure you are subscribed to the channel with post notification bell turned on so you never miss a video of ours. Make sure you're following us on Twitter and on Instagram for all the latest news and stories as they come about, and that you are following our website womensfootballtalk.substack.com and Women's Football Talk podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. And in the meantime, we'll see you soon.